Hey folks, Phil Gallagher here. We've gotten paired against Matt Soul in our last round. Again, we are playing the Deafening Silence D&T. At this time, no one has donated to support daily D&T for next week yet, so if you enjoy the series, please consider support. Matt's is probably playing some sort of like Loam Maverick style deck, and while this hand isn't necessarily insane against that, I think I'm going to keep it. What are you doing over there, Mats? Mulliganing to 4. Mats, did you pick up a combo deck? Weird lag after image there. That makes my entire hand so much worse. Okay. So, like, I can wasteland my opponent off of this Underground Sea, but, like, wastelanding into an active Sylvan Library when I can't pressure the board is pretty bad. So I'm just going to port it instead. Yeah, that's about what I thought. So the good news is that if our opponent just plays something like Bob, we've got that handily answered. Never mind. We've also missed out on the other white source, which I didn't realize I was missing when I kept this hand, because I was looking at another tab. Yeah, if I would have realized I was missing the other white source, I would have pitched this one. Gotta pay full attention. That's the kind of day it is. So now opponent has active library and Bob together. And as long as they're careful, they shouldn't take any damage off the Bob, basically, for the rest of the game. Or minimal amounts of damage. As we see there. So now Matt's fetching to take a look at fresh cards in the draw step. Matt's is at 5. Never seen that before. That's super cool. So I know that my opponent has another Chalice. So I want to save a Flicker Wisp for when I can Flicker and then remove the Bob in the same turn, probably. So keeping that in mind, what we're going to do is play Sanctum Prelate on x equals 2, which would be the number for a Chalice on 1, and as well as like Abrupt Decay and such. And then pass the turn. Or do I want to equip? Now I have plenty of mana next turn. If this is still alive, I can do it next turn. Right, it's another Chalice. Let's tap down a blue land. Wouldn't be particularly surprised to see like a Chalice on 2 now. Surprisingly, that knight is only a 3/3. Now it's a 4/4. Okay. So I can flicker with swords and equip. That's a lot. Let's get that chalice out of the way. I'll equip the Sanctum Prelate. Play land. Sword's the thing that lives through my attack. And crash in. Alright, my opponent has a green sun in hand now, in addition to the chalices that I know about. I've given my opponent a little more life to work with, but a sword on a Flicker Wisp does just represent lethal on my turn. Alright, and our opponent has conceded, seeing that line. I definitely got worried when my opponent dropped that Sylvan Library, though. Alright, what sort of ways do we have to grind against Loam? So this is good, these are good against Oko, this is good against Bob, Crusader is Bay. Megara, get in here. Council's Judgment, sure. Brimaz, you're not so great against Knight. Swords, Path, Rest in Peace, I'll probably play some number of you. Deafening Silences, you can get out. Thalia's, you can get out. Then from here, we actually have to start thinking about it. So we'll probably play the Jailer. I'll probably play the Swords. I will potentially also play the Path. The Graveyard is a resource for my opponent, but they can definitely function without it. You know, if you shut off the Graveyard, they can just kill you just fine with, you know, Okos and such. So I definitely want these. It's just a touch slow, but like super powerful. This is a bullet. These shut off plenty of things that I care about. These are okay against walkers and good against bobs. So we're heavy on cards. Since we're heavy on cards, I probably won't play the Path. Now what? It's not like I particularly love Jitte. And if I cut a piece of equipment, I can cut a Stone Forge. And I'll trim a Mom to be a little better against Chalice, I suppose. Chalice has probably come out, but it's something to keep in mind. So we're gonna be happy with land-heavier hands, I think. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep this one, even though it kind of does nothing. Because we have just put so many more 3-drops into the deck in our post-board configuration here. God, library again, Mats. All right. I'll get it next turn, in all likelihood. But now I'm just hoping you don't have an Oko for this turn. Because if they play an Oko, I have to Council's Judgment that. Not really any two ways about it. It's too good. Now the Sylvan Library gets to stick around. And as you saw last game, Library is pretty insane. But I just can't let my opponent have an Oko before I can check it at all. Meh. At least I can play a threat that's kind of okay versus Oko. It's weird, though. So in case you're not sure what I'm talking about, if my opponent turns Walking Ballista into an Elk, I have a 5/5 Elk. Because those are +1/+1 counters. Rats. Not particularly great in the face of like Oko and food. The Oko and Sylvan Library, while they might not look like it, actually have pretty darn good synergy together. So I need to mom. I can mom and Ballista on 2, and then kill Bob with a Ballista counter. Keeping another Ballista counter around. Then take 6 from this, then play Batterskull, which will get Elked. Not amazing. Wouldn't be surprised to see Dryad Arbor hop into the fight right here. Nope. Sorry, when I said that, I was thinking about my Ballista already being dead, because I assume this is coming in one form or another. I was getting ahead of myself. So I let that resolve. It names human, in all likelihood, and Mom dies. So I can just use this to gain 3 life, or I can put a +1/+1 counter on it on my turn, and use that to kill the Plague Engineer. And then Sword's a food. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to leave the option open to do that. Now I could play Batterskull and hold up Swords to Plowshares, which is probably better. Maybe it's not better. I can just put a counter on Ballista, block, shoot this down, kill a food, hope to top deck a Council's Judgment for this, then play Batterskull and stabilize the board. This is a savage spot for a removal spell. Alright, Mats is too strong. I'm going to go ahead and concede here. I'm technically not dead, but the damage is all but done. I think I like the way that we've sideboarded. So let's just run it back. This is This is too good to throw back, but something like a Collector Oof or Null Rod would be bad. I don't think we actually have to play around Null Rod, but Oof is very real. Alright. So now we're not just Stone Cold Dead to Oof. Can't give them the cards, but this will mean that Green Sun for Oof is brutal. That's fine. It's obviously good since it's a Knight of the Reliquary, but it's not the end of the world for me. Alright. So in retrospect, I shouldn't have played out the second Mom, keeping in mind that the Knight can fetch Blast Zone. I wasn't actively thinking about that when I made that play initially. It's a lot of Bob. Good bluff here, see if Mads activates Knight. Nope. Well, I don't hate that. I think the first thing I'm going to do is cast a Council's Judgment and see what Mats does with this Knight. So, goodbye. Knight? Or I could answer both Bobs. Answering both Bobs is pretty darn tempting. But my opponent is going to answer my Moms, which are my best way of dealing with the Knight. Alright, here we go. Let's get rid of both Bobs. Let's keep my opponent on limited resources. Give a little bit of damage. Germ gets bounced back. So Flicker Wisp, Swords, Path, Council's Judgment, Crusader. I have lots and lots of good draws. But I am going to need something pretty quickly. Even a Rest in Peace is pretty darn good. That's fine. There they go, getting real big. Oh, that's very good. That's very good. So I could throw away Mom and Stoneforge to get another set of Monarch draws. I'm not sure if that's correct. I have to block at least one of these, otherwise the fetch kills me. So that part I don't love. Yikes. Am I bouncing this? I probably need to bounce it. So the Knight's activating isn't particularly relevant. The ooze can get pretty big. Not super quickly, but it can get big. So at this point, honestly, like a Rest in Peace to turn those Knights into normal-sized creatures would be pretty cool. I probably need to block both of these. I might just die if I don't. So let's block this. Block this. Okay. Mom will protect herself. Oh, Mats, why do you have it? So I don't really think this is enough. I can remove one of these knights, like potentially have to just chump block the other. I think I'm either dead or effectively dead, so I'm going to go ahead and throw in the towel here, and GG's, Mats. Things slipped away a little bit there. So Deafening Silence didn't look too great in the main deck. It did some things. It was worth trying out for exactly one league, but we won't be doing that again. And in that regard, let's just let's get that one out of there now. Ideas are always worth exploring. And most of the times, you can tell after a few games whether or not you're like really and truly onto something. Sometimes you need to collect more data, but you know that was one of those things. Just kind of wanted to get it out of my system, see if it was good, see if it did more than I expected. Not so much. All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed Daily D&T, and thank you once again to Kevin B. Thank you very much again to Kevin B for supporting this week of Daily D&T, and I'll be back again next week. Cheers.